on education, and the social background may not be from the same background, and all those things you can make, because they are not the most important thing. When two people decided to love each other and live together, they are not going to always think about what background. Even the physical comparative beauty is no problem. People say my wife is beautiful, I don't know, but I never realize she is beautiful or not. You don't think about it, No. For me that was no. Actually, I agreed to marry her without seeing her. That's the truth. Our engagement, only after engagement I saw her. Because I was convinced beyond doubt this is the girl God has chosen for me. That's the reason I said no, I don't have to see her. I'm convinced. Do I look like that? Well, I got 5 children, man. No. See, I didn't say it, but you prepare yourself. What is to prepare yourself? I say that a normal marriage, the people with, by the time you are 13, 14, 15 year old, you know whether you have sexual feelings or not. And if you grow up in the right home, you know that you have to marry. So your parents will say that, okay, this is time for you to start praying. You spend almost 2 years, 3 years praying for yourself. Lord, create in me, make me a biblical man. Those virtues. Every day, morning, evening, you pray. Show me my weak areas. Deal with me in such a way that I will be this, leadership ability, all the thing we've said about man. That 3 years depends upon when you start praying. If you start praying at 25, you don't have 5 years to pray for, Yeah. If you start praying when you are 13, 14, you definitely can pray 3, 4 years on that for yourself. Then the rest 2, 3 years you pray for the future bride or the future groom. Lord, whomsoever you take, make that person a biblical man or a biblical woman. I want you to deal with that person. Then you pray for a couple of years. Lord, now I want you to, bring that person into my life, the proposal and all that. I want you to bring it and all that, So if you have been praying for that, I had the privilege, because when I was only 17 or 18 years old, I think 18, maybe 18, years old, I befriended a very godly man, whom I respect even now. A very godly man. We were very friends. He was in his 60s. I was only in 18, 19 year old. So, we used to go for, he didn't belong to even to I was at that time brother, and he didn't belong to the brother church, another church. But we were we go together for evangelism and also. He one day asked me, very affectionately, these questions. You ever think you will marry? You have such feelings? Yes. Then I have an advice. You must spend at least 5, 6 years prayer, consistently, then only you marry. So I asked, what should I pray? So he told me, first you pray for yourself. God will prepare you. He will deal with you, interfere in your life. He will, prepare you. Then you pray for the future bride. Then you pray, God bring. So I prayed that prayer, and then to be honest with you, I had 17 proposals. I said no. My father was so angry. I didn't go to see any girl. I asked 10, 15 questions, and father said, no, I don't know. No, I don't think that. Then forget about it. And this came, and I asked the question, and every answer is yes. I said, that's the girl God has chosen for me. So you can go ahead and engage. Even my presence is not there. I said, you don't want to see? No, I don't have to say. I already seen her in my mind. So, if you pray and ask consistently, God, not for a BA girl, not a beautiful girl, not a fair girl, not this rich girl, that's not your prayer. You say that I want the girl you have chosen for me, so that we could serve the Lord and love you. Is God going to play with you? Is God a buffoon? A comedian? No. People take marriage very lightly, therefore they suffer. So I had the confidence. That's why I said, I tell you, 45 years, I never had to look back. Never had to look back. Neither my wife nor I. You know. So I will say, pray, pray. God. But when you pray, don't pray to give me a rich man, and he must be tall and beautiful and fair. She must be tall and beautiful, and the dowry of this much money. And Lord, the only daughter of a rich man. And so the church also, please pray for my marriage. I want a godly woman. What do you mean by a godly woman? That's when the Lord cannot answer your prayers, Then you go through all sorts of. Some people will go and find a girl somewhere and then start praying for her. Lord, I want you to get that girl for me. Oh, well, what a misery for God. He has to work out all the details so that, This sort of don't take marriage very seriously. I honestly believe marriage should be taken very seriously. God loves you. God wants you to be married and be happy. Raise up a family for God's glory. So God's will is not known because when you looked, you had a feeling. Some say that I know she is the wife. Why? Because I don't know, brother. When I look at that girl, I have kind of special feelings. Then that's not the girl for you. Because why this feeling comes? Don't marry, say that I have no feelings. Well, don't marry. If you have normal feelings, then marry. Anything abnormal is not good. So that's how you find out God's will, first from the Word. Then you always talk with your parents, with the elders, with other people who love. Take their advices very strongly. If they all think that this is the man or this is the girl, we like her very much, I'm sure that she will make a good wife or he will make a good husband. You need to consider that, definitely. Definitely you need to. Some people say that, one says, I don't want to marry from the same church. Why? I don't have feelings. I see every Sunday. I said, well, so for next 20 Sundays, you sit outside and don't look at it. So after 20 Sundays, you can marry. You see how people say that, they know God's will? Very strange, very strange. That's not the way to, Same church, same village. Some say that, it's too far, brother. It takes 10 hours to go there. So that's how you find the God's will. So Isaac made the wrong, because he never went back. He went back. That's not the way. People say all this, we want our daughter to be near us, just 2 hours, Well, then there are plenty of boys in 2 hours. Just go pick up somebody. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Honestly, tell the Lord, I will marry whomsoever you will choose for me. Then the Lord will bring the right person. Sometimes you have to maybe pray a little more, Once there was a man, lady, she was in her 30s, not married, and she was concerned, very much concerned. So she was told by her pastor, not her, but commonly said, you be specific about your prayer request, then only God will answer it. Don't. So she is in her 30s and decided. So she went to a men's store, bought a nice blue jeans and a shirt, and kind of 34 maybe by 33, and a shirt, 42, 44 size shirt, spread it on her bed and kneeled before that and said, Lord, I'm told that my prayer has to be specific. I pray that you give me a man to whom these things fit as if custom made. So she prayed every day, She prayed and then she will fold it and put under the bed and she'll go. And a proposal came in few weeks and marriage took place and she gave this as a gift and it fits perfectly. See? So he shared the testimony in the church. you know. So there was a young man who was in 30s also. So he also wanted to be specific. So she went to a female lady shop and bought a few items. He went a little further. Spread everything there, the skirt, the blouse, the lingeries inside once and everything, and knelt down there, and then he got up and went away to the office without folding them up. His mother came in to sweep his room and found they are spread like a woman, you know. Said, my God, what is happening? Did he go eccentric or something, mentally or something? So he called the pastor and said, Pastor, this is terrible. This morning I walked into my son's room and there the skirt and the blouse and the inside lingeries and all that, and there's all spread like this. What is it? He's a mental patient or something? So the pastor said, no, don't worry. That's a result of a testimony last week. Anyway, the story is, you be specific, but don't do exactly that. But be specific, be specific. Say that you want a godly man, you want a man who loves the gospel, some people will say that I want a man who loves the word of God and can preach the word of God. My wife prayed for that. I asked my wife, what did you pray? Only prayed one item. I want a man who can preach God's word. I said, you got that one. That's all it goes. Your prayer is when something that pleases the Lord, that God is happy to give you more than. Look, Solomon, he asked for wisdom. What did God say? He said, because you did not ask this and this, other kings asked, you asked for wisdom. I give you not only wisdom, but I give you all the other things. He did not ask, but God, Solomon did not use them wisely. The God-given wisdom. He violated everything God said not to do. He did it. That was God's. So, pray. Prayer is a very valuable item. So, be sincere about prayer. Don't take prayer lightly. Pray to God, be specific, study the Bible. Now you know what are the characteristics of a godly man. So you pray over those matters. You pray for you first, yourself. Lord, I have these weaknesses, I want you to create these virtues in me, I am not submissive girl, I am a very, very strong-willed and I don't want to submit to anybody, but make me submissive. I want to be a biblical woman. And you pray over these matters, and Lord will slowly work these matters, things in your life, and then you pray for, if you are late, then don't first pray for you only, but pray for both. Pray for you and pray for the other thing. Couple of years you pray, and if you are very late, then pray for a couple of months, I will say that, because you didn't have the opportunity of probably listening these or getting these advices early. I had the privilege, God bless me with that one, so we told that to our children and all that, you must be praying and then only you should be marrying, the Lord bless them all with the good husbands and good wives, and thank God for that, this is, marriage doesn't happen by accident. You ask for it, you get it. God will give the best to God's children who ask for it. But your values are wrong, you will harvest. You are sowing now, later comes the harvest. Sometimes the harvest comes only in the children's generation, because children are a reward. Yes. So reward means that something you have done, right? So sometimes. So to get good children, good family life, you need to pray. This is how you accept God's will. So never say this, no, because he is of this one. Don't make, a list of things that are not biblical and then say that this is the man I want. He has to be this, he has to have this job, he must make this much money, he must be from such family, his color should be this, his height should be that. The Lord is not pleased with any of those. God has good men who are short, good men who are tall, good men who are black, good men who are fair, good girls who are fair, good girls who are really dark, good girls who are short or tall, good girls who are slim or who are not slim, God has all these. God is not looking at the external. Remember when Samuel wanted to make the elder son of Jesse, the king, God said, Samuel, you look at the external. I looked inside the heart. The man with my own heart coming. And he was short and rude. Samuel was not happy at it. Make him king. He stands shorter, for a meter than anybody else in Israel. Samuel liked Saul because at look only, Saul was quite a king. Everybody loved him. But he was not a man. So, don't make such things, but submit yourself to God and say that whatever Lord you give, after all, the purpose of my marriage is to please you, to glorify you. So lead me into green waters, please. I don't want to make mistake. I only have one life, and I have given this life to you. I want a godly family. I'll pay any price for that. But please, I want a good family life. You think God won't listen to it? But when our motivations are carnal and sexual and monetary and all those things, God is saying, look, that person is, doesn't have Christian values. So, I'll encourage you also to pray for your marriage. That's all the time I have is 5 o'clock. Find God's will for you. For God is a gracious, good God, He will bless you with good partners if your intentions and motivations and purposes are good. If there is problem in this area, then you will suffer for it. You cannot never blame God. He always reserves the best for people who love Him and people who obey Him. That's God's promise. All right, you have some questions. Anybody? No question?
What about age compatibility?
Age compatibility. Well, in India, traditionally people think that the bride should be younger than the groom. That's the general trend. Biblically, you cannot say that they are same age because Adam and Eve were created the same day. 6th day, afternoon, so how many hours difference? So you cannot say that much. Well, I don't know. I will say that age is not a very important criteria. No. Look is a little more, in the sense that you look so young and she looks so old, Well, people will think that, they are not husband and wife, they are... I am 5 years older than my wife, but I don't age. She aged much better, much longer. I mean, she looks a little older than her. She has gray hair, and I don't have. One day my wife and I were going, and there was a bunch of children. It's a strange place. We were visiting somebody and then going. There were 6, 7 children were playing there. So one of them come, they all looked and said, Amme monu kuda evide poyirikayirunnu. We laugh, we make, so we, for the rest of the day, we laughed and said that, so what I meant is, if age is a criteria, she looked very young when she married, but now she all grey hair and all. That's not what makes, I don't want her to, change the color. I said, no, it doesn't matter to me, I want you to be natural, what difference that makes. But the externals are not the values, for me that's not the values. It's, I haven't married her for others. I married for me, and she is a good wife to me, and good mother to my children, good mother-in-law to my daughter-in-law and son-in-law, and good grandmother to my grandchildren. So what more you want? A godly woman who pray for me, who submit to me, who love me. I'm very perfectly happy with her. So what the grey hair will do? That's what the grey hair will do. Nothing. For me that's a blessing, isn't it? Yes. So that's not the most important. So age is not. I say if there is compatibility in every area, if she is a little older by maybe 6 months, a year, just don't refuse to marry only because of that. That's my advice. That's not the most important thing. No. But if you don't have any other area also, it's only a marriage based upon infatuation, then don't. But usually, I have the first marriage I conducted, she was a missionary in China for years, and he lost his wife of cancer in second marriage, but she was about 5 years older than him. That's the first marriage I conducted. And both of them were about 10-15 years older than me. So I married them. They were Americans. I married them, and they were happily marrying and living. They were in their late 60s and 70, at that time. So what's the most important thing, So age is not the most important thing, no. But generally speaking, the man will be older. That's generally speaking. 99% of marriages will be the man is older. That's natural. Then come some situations where, as I said, she doesn't look older, though certificate will say that she is a year older or so. But she is godly woman, compatible in every area, and there is everything. But only on the basis of this date in the certificate, you don't want to even refuse. Oh no, don't do that. Any other question? Anybody?
When suppose two persons are in love relation, and later one of them come to faith, and what kind of advice would you give? Because they already agreed for marriage.
Yeah, it's a very difficult situation. Depends upon the extent of involvement all they have. That's extent of involvement. And one of them came to faith, and the other is, averse to faith. Like one became Christian, the other is a strong Hindu. Well, you definitely don't want to encourage that, because but they were involved in more than just love relationship and all that. Yeah, there's a promise given, is known to everybody, and nobody else will marry her if the marriage is broken off. There's situations like that. It's a very difficult situation, but he almost married her, especially if they had some physical relation also, then, there is no question. But, talk with them, how important is her faith or his faith, the party who came, and say that I will not marry now, I will wait until he or she gets saved. Some will say that, now I know that I'm a believer, I can marry only a Christian, but I have already committed, so I will not marry anybody else, but I will pray God will convert him and save him, and then I will marry and all that. We don't know whether that's going to happen, because, but you can share the gospel with them and all. I don't encourage such marriages, but I cannot always discourage either. Because situation is like that, if everybody knows, if one party calls off, the girl's relatives may manhandle him, and the problem, because the whole families know that, say, you have destroyed my daughter's or my sister's life, you promised, and you are, did this, did that, and all these things, you have returned this much photos, and we have this much letters and all. Now you say no, that, they will go police case and this case and all, and you don't want to be the man who will say, stand against that marriage. So the commitment has to be honored. It's difficult situation, but
what about some marriage where things get so difficult between husband and wife that they're not able to live together? So, and they're Christians and they cannot even divorce.
So you gave the answer. So they cannot live together, they cannot divorce.
Yeah, so is just a separation kind of thing okay?
Well, depends upon what are the issues. You will allow sometimes temporary separation. Separation is always with the view of reconciliation, counseling and reconciliation. Separation is never with the view of divorce later. No, divorce I don't believe in. But this one, sometimes certain reasons, issues there. If they live together, they fight, physical hurting and all that. So you sometimes recommend temporary separation while both come for counseling and that sort of. But if they both are Christians, then I think there is no question of divorce anyway. It depends upon what it's a hypothetical case, And so in a situation like that, suppose one is having HIV, not because of evil conduct, but because of maybe receiving blood or something, one has HIV, I will say live together. Live together, Yeah, HIV is not that easily contagious, no. Even their sexual relationship could be, they can conduct with their, using condoms and other things and all that. HIV doesn't fly and get you, Eating together or sleeping together, you don't get HIV, So I won't recommend a separation there for that one. But if this is one of them start beating the other one and the physical abuse, I don't want any husband to beat their wives. No physical abuse. Nobody has the right to abuse their wives. So if that sort of, then I will recommend temporary separation on the condition of, counseling. Because
one couple where they're very poor people. So when the girl was sort of believer, the parents got her married to unbeliever. And after marriage, we came to know that this is his fourth marriage.
Oh my goodness. And all the other three wives are living.
All are living and he drinks and beats.
If the wives are living, this marriage is not valid. How can this marriage be valid? Because we don't believe in polygamy.
And they have a child also.
They have a child also. A child was born, by illicit relationship almost. He must pay for both the child's maintenance and the wife's maintenance, but no sexual relations. Even if all four wives get saved, that's what it says. You keep the first wife. For all the other three wives, you provide maintenance, but no living together, no physical relationship. That's what I will recommend.
The Indian context, there's non-profitable demands from parents. Sometimes they would ask, when the children would face like, why not you look for the family status, why not you look for the education background? So is it worthy to take a strong stand, although it seems non-profitable, against our parents?
Well, interestingly, there are a lot of well-qualified, well-employed girls who are also spiritual, right? You don't have to conclude that all educated people are not spiritual. So you will say that you will list your demand. I want first of all this and this and this. You can find a girl who has this plus the ones you demand. I'll wait for one year for you. If you don't bring, then I'll proceed. Reasonable. My demands are that she must be born again, baptized, and this and that and that. Then there should be personality compatibility and this temperamental compatibility. You want rich, I have no problem. You want from a big family, I have no problem. But having these three, then bring the other one. It's your responsibility. I will wait for you. Graciously wait for 1 year. So you go find her. I will decide whether she has the first three I said. You decide whether she has the other three, you decide. So, you cannot assume that all rich people are not spiritual people. Oh, they are rich people who can pay 2 crores or 5 crores dowry, or, we don't believe in dowry. I said, rich people there are. And there are very well rich and educated, people, even IAS people, who are godly and, that. So we cannot conclude that all poor people are spiritual and all rich people are unspiritual. That we cannot. So, that's what I will say. Oh, right, I'm very happy. Oh, I'll be very excited to have such a girl who also got this. So, I can make compromise on this. You cannot make compromise on that? Fine. You are my parents. Bring the girl. That's what I say. So after 1 year, they couldn't bring anybody like that. So you tired of looking for? Then I will go ahead and marry people who got these three. Others may have, may not have. You have to accept them. Yeah. What else you do?
Suppose two people are decided in a godly way for marriage, then what is the role of the engagement and marriage?
Yes, that's. I wanted to talk about that. I will also briefly talk about. Yes, in the small time frame, I will talk about that also. The making of a marriage. The making of a marriage. That's very, very important.